What is up, everybody? So I'm going to be doing reviewing my top 5 favorite bass fishing lures for like midsummer. I'm not gonna have an order for them. I'm gonna start with the frog, actually. So the frog, I'd say it's the most common like midsummer with all the weeds, most common lure. Yeah, so you want to throw this usually along weeds like lilies and just any type of weed. Just throw it over any thick cover. It floats on top. Whenever you see like big pockets of open water and weeds, you want to throw it behind that, work it through, and do a few pauses in that little pocket. Is the most luck I've had. You got those weedless hooks, so you almost never get weeds caught on your frog, but sometimes you get your line caught up in the weeds. So I usually run braided between like 40 and 60 pound braid on my baitcaster when I'm using this, and a little bit stiffer rod and longer rod to get through those weeds and cast further and accurate. My next one is going to be the chatterbait. So the chatterbait is kind of like a jig, but it's got a blade. Some people call it the bladed jig. But it has usually run it with a swim bait tail. This blade just does a vibrating action, which like in the water can go a long ways. Yeah, so it's just pretty much a swim bait with a vibrating metal piece at the top. That's a pretty common bait used in the summer. You throw it along weed lines and that'll catch you some fish. My third lure that I'm gonna show you guys is a jig. So the jig, this jig I have a little crack and crown on the back. You always want to run it with a trailer, something that has a little bit of action. You kind of toss it in. You can put this in pretty thick cover. It has a weed guard in front of the hook, so you toss it in the weeds, pull it out, bounce it off the bottom a little bit. Sometimes you can do 2 to 3 hops. Some days it's a little bit different. You gotta drag it along the bottom, and yeah, you gotta kind of figure out how they're liking it that day. It changes up every once in a while, depending upon the water temperature and just how they're feeling. My fourth bait that I'm gonna show you guys is the Senko Wacky Rigged. Yeah, it's a universal bait for bass fishing. I'd say you can fish this anywhere and catch fish. You just hook it right through the center and toss it out there. You throw it along docks, weed lines. They make weedless hooks, but I just go with this Gamakatsu red octopus hook. You can go with any type of Senko. I use Yum Dingers. I just feel like they're the best for the money. Yeah, I usually run that with like either thin braid, like 15 to 18 or 20, and then a little liter of fluorocarbon. And then I forgot, with a jig, I usually run fluorocarbon about 15 pound test. And then my last summer lure is gonna be the Whopper Plopper. So this is a topwater bait. It has treble hooks, so you don't really want to run it right on weeds. You can cast along weed lines though. It has a nice plopping action on the back, you can see, and I usually have a little steel leader on this sometimes. If you're running with lakes that have a lot of pike, then I would have a little steel leader on the front and maybe braided line. Sometimes I just run this on my frog line or my frog rod and reel. But yeah, so hope you guys found this video helpful and catch some more fish this summertime.